Culture shock is definitely a real thing, and I felt it within my first week of being in South Korea. I remember the first time I felt culture shock, it was when I was coming to Korea from Canada. I was sitting in the boarding area and I was flying with Korean Air. And then when I was at the airport, I saw these Korean women go onto the airplane, the flight attendants. And then at that time, I finally felt the culture shock hit me. I'm like, oh, this is getting real. I'm actually about to go to South Korea now. At the EPIK orientation, I didn't really feel the culture shock too much because you're surrounded by foreigners from different countries, so we're all, mingling and we got to know each other. But there was one day where we went off of the university where we're staying, and we went to this Korean style restaurant where you sit on the floor. They put a mat underneath you and you sit on the floor. You take your shoes off before going to the dining area. And so when we're there, I'm not the most flexible guy, so I had trouble sitting. I had to move my legs around a lot and stuff like that. So at one point I decided to go outside to just get some fresh air and stretch my legs. And when I was there were about 5 or 6 Korean guys that were just having a drink, and they were smoking outside. And then when these men saw me, they kind of like had a look and they were like, looking like, oh, hello. And they didn't really say anything else. So I was just like, oh, hi. And I remember at the time being like, oh, damn. Again, I just felt it got real. So in this video, I want to share about 5 or more topics with you relating to cultural differences between Western culture and Korean culture. So number 1, schools. So I remember when my co-teacher picked me up from orientation and we're driving to where I live, I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, this is getting real because we're driving by and we're seeing all the mountains and it looks so different, and I'm going to a rural area. And so at the whole time when she was speaking to me, I actually kind of like forgot to respond to her a couple of times because I was just like taking everything in. And so when I went to school for my first day, I also realized, how the students were looking at me because I was different. A lot of them were like, oh, wow, hello. They're like bowing, and they obviously bow to everyone. So it was definitely an experience. So students here are actually very, very independent. You won't really see parents walking around with their kids. Like I see some students maybe 8, 9, 10 years old walking by themselves, crossing the street by themselves, and coming home late. Some of my students, I've seen them walking home around 9 or 10 p.m. when they're coming from their after-school programs or Hagwons or their academies. Some of them have seen me outside drinking, having a beer with my friend, and I'm just like, oh, hello. So I've had some awkward encounters. One thing I do like about the culture here is that students are very, very respectful. They don't really talk back and they don't yell or anything like that. So that's definitely a plus for the culture here. The second one is transportation. To be honest, people here kind of drive crazy, and like sometimes when I'm walking, I'm not really paying attention and I have my headphones in, and I'm used to doing this when I'm walking in Canada. But when I was here, within like my first week or so of walking to school, I kind of realized like, yo, I need to like pay attention to my surroundings, because like sometimes they'll just like drive by, they may see you crossing the street, but they'll just like go first because they don't want to wait for you. So that's definitely something I had to get used to. Another thing here too is people just love to reverse. I don't know why. Like sometimes I'll just be walking and I think a car's parked, and then all of a sudden it's just like reversing out of a driveway or reversing out of the road for whatever reason. So yeah, you gotta look out for people reversing here. On subways, the subway is actually very, very quiet, so I always have to remember that. And sometimes I hop onto the subway with my friend and then we're like chatting, and then we kind of realize, I'm like, oh, everybody else around us is quiet. We don't want to be those annoying foreigners, So we try to like keep it down when we're in subways. And another thing that we notice when we're in the subways is that girls will do their makeup. They'll sit down and they'll just do their makeup normally, like no one else is around them. But in Canada, you don't really see people doing their makeup in public, so I guess that's what makes it different. And number 3, socializing. So in Korea, PDA is a big thing. So public displays of affection. A lot of people like to, be couples with one another. And every girl, I teach at a girls' middle school, and all the girls want a boyfriend. They're always talking about boyfriends and stuff like that, and so do the guys. They're always talking about girlfriends, and which is fine. But when I'm walking in public, I always see them being, all lovey-dovey with each other, which is way more than I'm used to in Canada. In terms of drinking, you can actually drink on the streets in South Korea. So you can have a soju, you can have a beer, and then walk in the streets, and it's legal. You can do that. And there's been a couple times that I've done that, and I felt really, really awkward because in Canada, like, you can't do that. If you're seen doing that, you're gonna get a drinking ticket. So I was walking with my friend a couple times and he had a drink and we're outside and it just felt so awkward. I'm just like, oh man, I feel like I shouldn't be doing this. And if a police officer or a cop car drives by, I'm like instinctively trying to like hide my drink and make sure like he doesn't see it. So that's something that I had to get used to. Koreans love to drink. So at work or school or whatever it is, after the teachers are done or after people are done at work, a lot of them like to go out for food and for drinks. And so what happens is they'll take shots with soju and beer, and whenever you finish your drink, they always refill it, take another one. And then once they're done at this one restaurant or this one bar, they move on to the next one and drink again. And then it's just like a drinking culture and they just keep going on and on and on. So it's definitely something that I had to get used to because I'm not used to drinking that much. On the weekends when I'm in Seoul, I see a lot of people like drink just way too much. I've seen some people literally passed out on the street. I've seen some people being carried on their shoulder because they just drank way too much. Like some people, they have no limit. They just keep going, and then they just realize like they're out like a light, and then they need an ambulance or somebody to take them home, and they're puking. So sometimes it does get a little reckless because there is no 2 a.m. all normal drinks can be served. People just keep partying until like 5 a.m. So it's kind of crazy. Another thing about Korean men is they love to smoke and they spit a lot. So it's kind of unfortunate because this is a nasty habit, but you find a lot of people smoking on the weekends or smoking after a club. It's just like a normal thing. Some people smoke indoors. Sometimes it's inside of a club. Some clubs will say like you're not allowed to smoke in there, but some places you can. And then sometimes in hallways you just see a bunch of people smoking and then just throwing their cigarettes on the floor, or people spitting on the floor or spitting outside. Like it's just like, it's no big deal to them. So that's kind of something that I didn't really like. And number 4, older people. So in South Korea, their elders are very, very well respected by the people younger than them. So when you see an older person, let's just say I'm in line waiting to go into the bus, there's always going to be an older gentleman or an older lady that's going to cut in front of everyone and just like go in front of us and then hop on the bus. It happens all the time. You get cut off all the time. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, they do bow a lot in this culture. So whenever I see older people, I always bow and I say 안녕하세요, which is like hello. So bowing a lot. And another thing that happens is sometimes like they'll bump into you. You could be standing somewhere, and like I have a funny story to share. One of my friends told me this. So he was like leaning on the wall. So you can imagine just like leaning on the wall like this, waiting for something or being on your phone. And then he said that there's this one older Korean guy that was walking against the wall where he was walking. So there was like a lot of space for him to walk in front of him, but he decided to walk along the wall where my friend was resting. So he goes by the wall and then like he hits my friend, kind of telling him to like move, right? So my friend's like, okay. So he gets off the wall and he just keeps walking. And he was so confused. It's just like, why did that just happen? Because like he literally had all that space to walk in front of me, but nope, he decided to walk against the wall. And number 5, Korean spas. Jimjilbangs. So Jimjilbangs are very popular spas in South Korea, and they're popular because in these spas people use the facilities naked. They don't wear anything at all. I remember there was one time I was in Seoul and I was looking for a place to stay. So I was looking for a guest house, like a hostel type situation. And so I went online on booking.com and I found this one place in Itaewon. So I was like, alright, cool. It said spa and guest house. So I assumed like they were 2 separate, arrangements. Like there's a spa and there's a guest house. So I booked a room there. And so when I got there, they told me, okay, your room's on the 4th floor. And so I had my key and I went up towards the 4th floor, and then the 2nd floor is where they have the spa. And so as I'm walking going towards the 4th floor, I see all these naked men, showering, doing their hair, and then just whatever, having a towel in their hand, but they're not wrapping themselves, but just walking the towel naked, and a lot of different things that I saw. So I was like, okay, whatever, it is what it is, culture thing. So I go up on the 4th floor, put my bags down and whatever, and so I wanted to take a shower. So I'm thinking to myself, like, alright, they probably have like private showers or something that I can take here. Nope, all the showers on the 2nd floor where all the spas and everything are. So I'm just like, damn. So I'm gonna have to go shower there. So I go and I'm getting ready to go have a shower, and so I go downstairs and then I find one of like the faucets I can use to shower. And when I'm there, there's people of all ages. There's older people, there's younger people, there's kids, And so there was this older Korean man that was taking a shower, and he had his children with him there. So he's showering, obviously everyone's naked, he's showering, and then like his kid comes, who's like 5 or 6 years old, and he comes and he says something in Korean. I couldn't understand what they're saying, but he's like, dad, whatever. And then his head was really by like his dad's crotch, and then like his dad's like talking to him like blah 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 blah, blah and like saying all these things. I'm just like, yo, it's like the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. So that's pretty much it for most of the topics regarding culture shock in Korea. There are a few extras, like when you go to restaurants here, people don't tip, so you don't have to, have some extra cash to tip towards the waiter or the waitress. They actually recommend you don't, because I've tried doing that a couple times and just like, no. The only person I've tipped is like my barber, so every time I go there, I'm just like, no, it's okay, take my money. And a couple other things too. Obviously, a lot of people wear masks. You've seen people wearing masks before, so they wear them when they're sick, or pollution. So sometimes pollution from China and stuff comes to South Korea, so a lot of people wear their masks then. And I think that's pretty much it. One last difference is there's not a lot of trash cans in this country for some reason. So whenever I'm out and I have, a plastic bottle or whatever it is that I have in my hand that I want to throw out, literally takes me like 10 minutes to find one. Like I'll keep walking, trying to go places. Like, where can I throw this? In Canada, like literally every minute that you walk by somewhere, you're just gonna find a trash can. You just throw it in there. And also for like trash that you have in your house that you want to recycle or throw out, what you have to do is you actually put it in the street. So what they do is they have separate bags for separate types of trash. And so you literally just put it on a designated area on the street, and then the next day, I guess in the AM, somebody comes and collects the garbage. So there is no actual like garbage chute or something that you throw it into. You just put it on the wall on the street, and then somebody come pick it up. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay dreaming, stay chasing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
He's right there.
Yeah, the glasses. There you go. All right.